And my name is Sarah Robinson. I'm a very proud citizen of the Fort Nelson First Nation and the Soto First Nation up in Treaty 8 territory, although I'm zooming in today from the ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, currently often called the City of Vancouver. I'm just so honored to be here to support the launch of Deyen Canadian history through the lens of Indigenous women. This course is really so important and so significant because so many Canadians haven't had the opportunity to learn about Canada's true history because it was omitted from public school textbooks. I know that that's starting to change now, but even when I was graduating from high school in the very early 2000s, there was absolutely nothing about Indigenous peoples and certainly not about Indigenous women specifically in those textbooks. So as a result of this swath of history not being included in public schools, most Canadians are unaware that the Indian Act, as one example, which is a racist piece of federal legislation that's still in effect today, discriminated against Indigenous peoples generally on the basis of race, but additionally discriminated against Indigenous women specifically on the basis of gender. So, for example, the Indian Act anchored patriarchy in Canadian law, which undermined hundreds of Indigenous nations all across Turtle Island that followed matriarchal governance systems. The Indian Act also intentionally assimilated Indigenous women and children, in particular, into broader Canadian society by systemically pushing Indigenous women and children out of their communities and into urban centers. This effectively opened up their territories for settlement by industry and by non-Indigenous people. So by specifically targeting and oppressing Indigenous women and children, Indigenous nations were consequentially oppressed as well. And by pushing Indigenous women and children out of their territories, Indigenous nations, again, consequentially lost control of much of their original traditional territories. So if you're not entirely following me or straight up maybe have no idea what I'm talking about, then Deyen is a call to action directed right at you. So I encourage everybody who's here today to check this course out, take time to learn about Canada's true history from the lens of Indigenous women, teach your children, talk to your family, talk to your friends about the things that you've learned, and just know that if you're feeling uncomfortable, it means you're learning. I know that some of the moments in which I am truly, truly transformed are the moments that I'm sitting in very deep discomfort, wrestling with all of the kinds of feelings that come along with doing this hard work. But do know that if you choose to continue living in this country, you have a responsibility to learn its true history and to work to build a better, stronger country that all of our children will be proud of. So I couldn't be more thrilled that this launch is happening. Chastity, I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. I'm so excited for you. I encourage everybody who's here today to check out this course ASAP. And thank you for having me.